welcome to episode 4 of Bishop's Desert Island Disc. Today I have with me Mr. Demain-Griffiths, our Director of Sport. So welcome. Three really interesting pieces of music that you've chosen today. So can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how music figures in your life?
Sure. Firstly, thank you very much for having me on. I'd be lying if I said I was a music buff, but I think it's safe to say, like a lot of people, I like what I like, I guess. I've got quite an eclectic mix, and I was lucky enough when I was younger, certainly going through Bishops, that I had friends who were most certainly into their music, and I guess I sort of rode on their coattails a little bit. I got to go to some pretty cool gigs when I was at school. I've been lucky enough to go to Glastonbury 4 or 5 times, so I've seen a fair few people live, which has been pretty special. And then with my girls now, it's quite nice in the mornings to come down and put different bands on, or artists, and sort of educate them a little bit beyond Disney hits, which is also a firm favorite in our house.
Have you coerced them into any of your musical heroes?
Well, they actually, so we put some No Doubt on, Gwen Stefani, earlier this week, and they absolutely loved it. They were bopping around the kitchen. They're referring to it as crazy music, but I guess No Doubt and that sort of genre. When I was growing up in Salisbury, the Arts Centre used to hold gigs, and they were that kind of sort of mosh pit-esque sort of gig. I wasn't really into the really heavy stuff, but if you could have a good sort of dance like No One's Looking, which was pretty much the case there.
So your first choice of music is Oasis, Wonderwall. Now this rings lots of bells for me. I went to boarding school in Manchester and went in 1995, which is the year that this tune came out. But why have you picked this as your number one tune?
Yeah, I think I probably missed the sort of Britpop battle between Oasis and Blur. I knew about it, but I wasn't as heavily invested as other people when asked my opinion. But certainly, again, sort of 95, 96, but it was more 97 when the British and Irish Lions toured South Africa. It was their sort of tour song, and I think it's been synonymous with rugby since then, in terms of they were victorious in South Africa, and there were video scenes of them singing it in the changing rooms and things like that. And so it's always stuck with me for that reason. And then going through, obviously Oasis were huge. I was lucky enough to see them in 2004 at Glastonbury, and everyone obviously knew the words to most of their songs, so it was like a giant karaoke going on. And then I guess it's always been on the playlist because of rugby, with the boys when we've been on away days. And some of the schools we play have huge drives. Bryanston in particular has a huge drive that you come off the main road, and then it's literally miles long. So if you can get the timing right, you can actually play your sort of final song that's got everyone sort of up and bouncing and ready to go, to finish as you arrive. And Wonderwall with the under 16 a few years ago was definitely a big song for that. On tour, we had a rule about no phones when we were in a social setting, and we went to a baseball match, and I FaceTimed my family. At the time that I did it, I actually got put on the big screen, and so all the boys could see that I was on my phone in a social setting. And Mr. Griffiths sentenced me. My punishment was that I had to sing Oasis Wonderwall on my own to our final opponents of the tour. Literally hundreds of people in this room, parents and everything. So I had to sing it, and then luckily the boys didn't leave me hanging for too long, and they joined in.
Well, with that image in mind of Mr. Demain-Griffiths leading mob karaoke in Japan, this is Oasis Wonderwall. Because of technical difficulties, please follow the link in the description below to listen to this on YouTube. Welcome back. So that was Wonderwall by Oasis, and we move on to your second tune now, which is Ho Hey by the Luminaires. Tell us a little bit about this one.
This one's pretty short and sweet, really. I met my wife in 2013, and I think this came out in 2012. It was all over the radio at the time in our first year of meeting, and we were engaged pretty quickly and got married the next summer. So it was all pretty quick. And so in terms of choosing a song that meant something to both of us and was special to us, I guess this was the song of that year to a degree. And I actually did some research into the song, and they actually wrote it as, in their words, as a kiss off to disinterested concert goers, in terms of basically, look, we're destined to be together. Why are you not paying us more attention? Which, could be, I guess, me and my wife somewhere down the line potentially. Luckily, we're not there just yet, but we both got the lyrics inscribed on the inside of our rings, unbeknown to each other, which was quite a nice touch. And then we got married up in Bamburgh, which is where her family live. We had a pretty big party in their back garden, no curfews or anything like that, so we were able to go on pretty late. And this song comes on just by chance every time we drive in off the A1 and come on the road into Bamburgh. If anyone's been there, there's a huge castle that you can see, a bit like Salisbury Cathedral, right on the coast, and it's pretty special. And so this song will always be pretty special to me for that reason.
There was quite a famous interview with the two members of the Luminaires for NME. It was only a few years ago, and when they were being asked about how they came about their music, and they were really keen to stress the point that they're not reinventing the wheel. They love making music. They've always loved singing and performing and playing guitars. And actually, they really like the idea that their music is fairly simple and it's something that is accessible for everybody. And I think what you've said there about it coming on quite late in the evening or possibly early hours of the morning, sometimes it doesn't need to be complicated. Sometimes there doesn't need to be rhyme and reason. It just needs to be good music that everybody can get into. And I think this is a perfect example of that. So here we go. This is Ho Hey by the Luminaires.
I've been trying to do it right. I've been living a lonely life. I've been sleeping here instead. I've been sleeping in my bed. I've been sleeping in my bed. So show me family, all the blood that I will bleed. I don't know where I belong. I don't know where I went wrong, but I can write a song. I belong with you, you belong with me, you're my sweetheart. I belong with you, you belong with me, you're my sweetheart.
To your final tune, Hoppy Poller by Sigur Rós. So I think everybody will recognize this tune. It's being used for television programs, adverts, but what does it mean to you?
So this one just takes you back to my final final year at university. I think it came out in 2005, so I was in my final year. 2006, I was sort of finishing up my dissertation and exams and things. I was lucky enough, we were able to move back into halls if we wanted to, and we could choose who we lived with and where we lived ultimately. So we had the pick of the halls, as it were. And I picked a room overlooking Durham Racecourse, which allowed me sort of views of the river and mature trees and things like that. So I'm quite big on my connection with the environment and being outdoors. And so this was my go-to song when I just needed a break from basically grinding it out. I was never the most academic, so I spent a lot of time working to make up for that fact in my third year, and being in my room, but being able to look outside and just put this on and sit back and take a deep breath and get the air on board was pretty cool. Actually, hoppy polar, I think, means hopping into puddles, which again, I think is it's a nice thing to think about and takes you back to kind of a real sort of childish nature of jumping into puddles and just having fun outside. So it's a relaxing breakout. It's a little bit different. I think the whole album tack, if you listen to it and just sort of zone out for a few tracks, I think we all need to do that every now and again, particularly at this current time. It's my go-to.
I would definitely second that recommendation for listening to some of the other tracks on this record. I think it's one of those albums that really is good for just sitting back and taking a moment. This is one of the tracks from that album, Tack Hoppy Polar by Sigur Rós. Brilliant, and welcome back. So just before we go, I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Demain-Griffiths. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much. Allow me to reconnect with some of my songs from the past.
And I will be back next week with another member of staff. So thank you for joining us.